Donald Trump will sooner or later leave the political stage. Usually this happens to US presidents after the second term, but even if he would want to stick around a bit more, it's unlikely it would be for long, due both to his age and also to the fact that other younger leaders are eager to take the stage. So one question arises naturally. What about the movement he built known as Trumpism or simply MAGA, Make America Great Again? The short answer, it is here to stay and outlive his ideological father. MAGA has become a powerful force reshaping American politics and sending shockwaves through the entire world order. But what is MAGA really? Where did it come from? And perhaps the most important question of all, can the world survive America's crisis from which MAGA arose? Let's find out. At its core, MAGA is driven by regions left behind. White working-class communities in the Rust Belt closed factory regions, rural America's shrinking town, and working-class communities who feel ignored by global elites. It's resentment, it's economic pain, mixed with cultural anger and a burning sense that Washington just doesn't care. But here's the question, why is this movement so emotionally powerful? Because it isn't about jobs or trade deals, it's about identity, belonging, and the fear of disappearing in a changing world. Religion plays a huge role. Evangelical Christians have been the backbone of the MAGA movement, seeing politics as a battle between good and evil. For many, political fights over abortion, family values, and religious freedom feel like existential threats. But now there's a new twist. The Vice President, J.D. Vance, who clearly holds ambitions for the next presidency, has converted to Catholicism, embracing what's called common good conservatism. It's a vision that's nationalist, traditional, but also supportive of using government power to protect working families. So why does this matter? Because MAGA is evolving. It's no longer just a movement fueled by anger. It's trying to become an ideology with intellectual roots, and that could make it even more durable in the years to come. But MAGA is about more than just economics or religion. It's driven by fierce battles over identity, immigration, race, gender. These culture wars fuel a deep sense of grievance. They transform political debates into moral wars. And here's the real danger. When politics becomes a moral war, finding a bipartisan compromise becomes very difficult, if not impossible. Is this why America seems so hopelessly divided? The rising stars are shaping MAGA's future. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, the traditional conservatives, hawkish on foreign policies but still pro-business and comfortable working with the old Republican Party. And J.D. Vance, the populist demanding tariffs, industrial policy and less global entanglement, and deeply suspicious of America's old institutions. Both claim Trump's mantle, but they offer very different visions of how to wield power. So the question is, who will define MAGA in the post-Trump era? The establishment conservative or the economic nationalist? Enter Elon Musk. Once a MAGA ally, Musk has now broken away, launching his own political brand, the American Party. He promises to restore freedom, but risks splitting conservative votes and throwing future elections into chaos. And Trump's reaction? He called Musk off the rails. So what does this mean for MAGA's relationship with Silicon Valley? First, consider that in today's politics, alliances shift overnight. Friends become enemies, and just as quickly, enemies become friends again. Nevertheless, tensions run deep. Billionaires like Peter Thiel and Musk once bankrolled MAGA candidates. Musk, for now, seems out, while Thiel, with whom they were together in the PayPal mafia, is still silently behind his best political investment, J.D. Vance. What does Thiel want? He bets on tech freedom and innovation, but meanwhile, MAGA populists rally against big tech monopolies, accusing them of censorship and political bias. So, contrary to Musk, he prefers to stay in the shadows and run his profitable business with the government, where the biggest asset is Palantir, a major data analysis company. And Vance's position? He's walking a tightrope, criticizing tech giants while still accepting millions from Silicon Valley donors. Is it a contradiction, or is it a calculated strategy to unite populist voters with tech elites? Meanwhile, MAGA is planning for the long game. The Heritage Foundation's Project 2025 is a sweeping blueprint. It calls for purges of federal workers, consolidating presidential power, and rolling back decades of regulations. Exactly what is happening right now. So even if Trump fades, these institutions are ready to keep the MAGA vision alive. So, is MAGA now bigger than Trump himself? One big MAGA target is universities. State laws are banning diversity programs, restricting how race, gender, and climate are taught. And it may not stop there. There's talk of cutting funding for research on climate change, public health, and even artificial intelligence. But why attack universities and science? Because for MAGA space, universities symbolize elitism. They are seen as places where liberal ideas are nurtured and conservative voices are silenced. But there's the irony. America risks losing its edge as a global scientific leader. How can the US compete with China if it undermines its own research and innovation? Today, America is more divided than ever. Red versus blue, urban versus rural. It's not just about politics, it's become tribal warfare. Did you know that according to the University of California Davis Research Program in 2023, nearly 14% of Americans expect civil war in their lifetime, while 7% justify the use of violence for political gains? Bear in mind that 7% of the US population means almost 25 million people. Political violence is rising, from the Capitol riots to assassination plots against elected officials like the one uncovered in 2020 against the Democratic governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer, a powerful example of MAGA-era domestic terrorism. So the question becomes, can a democracy survive when neighbors see each other as enemies? This chaos at home has a global political price. While the United States is flexing its muscles with tariffs and military threats, it's losing the battle for hearts and minds. Its global soft power, on which it has relied for decades to justify its influence and achieve its goals without always putting soldiers on the ground, is drastically waning. Nevertheless, the battle for soft power has taken another twist. Soviet-era-style active measures to shape the political landscape not only to adversaries, but also allies. The idea of regime change, as seen in countries like Iraq and Afghanistan during George W. Bush era, has been replaced by a milder but not less dynamic strategy, influencing the politics of allied nations with the explicit intention of promoting sovereignist, anti-immigration, religious, conservative, and sometimes overtly nationalist or even racist right-wing movements. For example, parties like the Alternative für Deutschland in Germany or the Rassemblement National in France. Earlier this year, Elon Musk tweeted, "Make Europe Great Again," using the slogan MAGA. While Musk didn't announce an organized political movement, some commentators and European right-wing figures interpreted his message as encouragement for sovereignist and nationalist politics across the continent. It's fueled speculation about whether the US right might seek to weaken the European Union and promote divide-and-rule strategies through emerging bilateral alliances. US favorability has declined significantly in many allied nations since the early Biden years, driven by concerns about political dysfunction and stability. Meanwhile, China's image has climbed, presenting itself as a stable and efficient alternative. But here's the real twist. Much of America's imperial-style foreign policy isn't new. For decades, Washington shaped regimes, waged covert wars, and used economic pressure to mold the world. The difference under Trump and MAGA, the curtain has been pulled back. Now, the raw calculations of power are exposed for all to see, and the global public doesn't like it. Trump didn't invent American power politics, he just made it impossible to hide. China and other BRICS countries are moving into the vacuum. Beijing tells the world, look how divided and chaotic American democracy is. We, on the contrary, offer stability and prosperity. And increasingly, nations in Asia, Africa, and Latin America are listening. China's Belt and Road Initiative, its technological investments, and its diplomatic outreach all serve one purpose: to replace American leadership with a Chinese model of governance. MAGA's legacy will outlive Trump. It's becoming an ideology, a set of institutions, and a deep cultural divide. The stakes are enormous. Will America remain a functioning liberal democracy or sink deeper into chaos, giving rivals like China, Russia, or India the chance to reshape the global order? Trump may leave the scene, but the forces he unleashed are reshaping both America and the world. So I'll leave you with one final question. If America can't heal itself, can the world heal from America's crisis? Stay sharp, focused, and curious.